On the fourth day of the month of May, 3 podcasters decided to watch a film that would display plants and chops of horror and uncertain. I butchered the intro. Shit, I knew I should have written it down. Hello, everybody. Welcome to WRK Podcast, where we're doing a one-off, and I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so excited as well.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll talk about, why we selected this. But for now, I am the Wash.
I'm suddenly random bystander here.
Excuse me, I couldn't help noticing that strange and interesting plant. What is it?
It's an Audrey too.
I've never seen anything like it before.
No one has.
Where did you get it?
Well, you remember that total eclipse in the sun about a week ago?
Daru.
I love this musical so much.
Okay, we're talking about 1986 Little Shop of Horrors, directed by Frank Oz, obviously famous for the Muppets, and with a hell of a cast.
Oh boy.
This is one of the only other one-offs we're doing before we get into Disney Channel Original Roulette, or Decor.
Yes.
But, Random, why this movie of all movies?
Well, I have a lot of experience with this movie and a musical in general. You were...
If I may interject, I'm actually the one who suggested this.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can finish, but because my logic was super simple. We just went through a horror franchise, Higurashi, which also had its very campy, silly moments of fun. We're going into live action movies, and this is a live action horror comedy, so the pieces just fit. So also, there's a body that gets chopped and dismembered, which is very... I got to that point, and I'm like, oh my god, this isn't Hinamizawa syndrome, is it?
This is weirdly, because I also watched, this movie is an adaptation of a 1982 musical, which was itself an adaptation of a 1960 film by Roger Corman, which I also watched. And having watched it, the Little Shop of Horrors 82, it feels like the Disney-fied version, which is weird for all the subjects that it goes into and the darkness of it. But it's still a blast.
Oh, so fun. It's as someone who has seen the 1960s version and the movie and the musical multiple times. It's a ride to see how much has changed between it, especially from the 60s to the movie. Oh my god.
Yeah. And even as I found out from the Broadway musical to the movie musical, that I was surprised with. And I guess we'll talk about that.
Yep, they did change a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah,
but if we're talking about the 80s movie version, then there must be a plot to that movie.
Wait, so we gotta show our history.
I was gonna say.
Oh, did we? Do we? Well, okay, no, you're totally right. I guess it's been a while since we've recorded.
It's been a while since we've had a history with a thing.
Yeah.
Well, all of us have had a history with the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You two go first.
Okay. Believe it or not, actually, this is my third time watching Little Shop of Horrors. The first time, and I know the two of you are gonna be like, "Wow, us too!" But the first time I saw it, it was actually in a drama class. I was very enamored with it. I mean, it was an excuse in a class to watch a movie. So, of course, I was just going to jump all over it. But I was very enamored with it. At the time, I mean, I didn't, love musicals growing up and then completely stopped liking musicals once I hit a certain age. I never, really liked them. But the specific, I don't like musicals, didn't like them, that specific, wasn't until a little later in life. So I was still open to the idea of musicals. So watching Little Shop, I was really getting into it. I didn't really know what to think of the songs, but, just the idea of the movie, I was like, I can get into this. Then, a while later, I don't even know how much later, I had watched it again, and my big takeaway, once again, had nothing to do with the songs, but more so had to do with Audrey 2, which I think is what kind of everybody's takeaway is going to be from Little Shop. And I'll say in advance, rightfully so. And then this was my third time watching it, which my first time watching it was more of, okay, I'm watching it for the first time. What do I think? The second time was, all right, does this movie actually hold up, or was I just watching a movie in class? And then my third time watching it was, this is a horror comedy. How many Higurashi jokes can I fit in? Which this episode could be nothing but Higurashi jokes if I let myself do that. So I'm gonna limit myself to 3, and I already made 1, so I'm limiting myself to 2. Wash, you're up.
Random is gonna have to help me out with this, but I'm fairly sure that he and I watched this in the same class, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. This wasn't one of the ones that we made fun of, right?
No.
Okay. I'm pretty, because I know
if you might have, I didn't.
I don't think I did. I think I probably enjoyed it, although it didn't have any subtitles, so I missed out on pretty much everything. I was really pissed about that. Edgy middle schooler, I was making fun of like Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I remember making fun of West Side Story, and you told me to shut up because you were enjoying it.
That is such a good story. I've only heard like the Spark Notes version of that story, but I love it.
I think this was one of the earlier ones, and I remember enjoying this a good amount. It's everybody knows Audrey too. Like Kirby fan / Claire said. That's the big takeaway from the original, and this is now my second time watching it. Although I watched it after going to see the 1960 film, which was luckily in public domain. As I found out, like, we could play the entire film during this podcast, and we don't get any trouble for it. And it's part of why it got this sort of adaptation, and a hell of an adaptation too. We'll talk about this, but I was very surprised with how much I liked the 1960 film, and I was not surprised of how much I loved the 1986 film.
To very quickly interject super fast, we all watched a different thing for this. Of course, we all watched the 86 film. Random, we'll get into what he had watched. Wash watched the 1960s film. My time is on a budget, so I watched James Rolfe, who is better known as the Angry Video Game Nerd. I watched his Monster Madness of the 60s film. And that is how I knew that the 60s version was public domain. Specifically, Jack Nicholson is on the covers for, like, every re-release of the 1960s film, even though he's in the movie for 2 minutes, because it's public domain and everybody knows Jack Nicholson, so that's just how they're going to sell copies. I think that's hilarious.
Yep.
Random.
It's a hell of a Jack Nicholson cameo, but exactly.
It's one of the
really
best parts of the film.
In the box.
Anyways,
like
I'm sorry.
one of the covers has like Jack Nicholson from The Shining on it. Like,
anyways, I'm sorry. Random, you're up.
Yes, Wash and I were in the same class in drama when we watched this film, and I saw this film for the first time. I never heard of it until then. I knew of the composers Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, whether I knew it or not, because they made the music for Beauty and the Beast, which I love and adore. So as soon as I saw, I didn't think I knew it was them until like afterwards, but I just remember being sucked right in from the opening, like falling in love with this musical. Like, I don't know, the reason I can't say I don't remember if you made fun of it because my attention was drawn to this from the beginning. Like, I think the opening got me like as soon as the music started, and I just was super into it.
Oh yeah,
and
we'll talk about that intro, but
oh my god, and Little Shop of Horrors is my favorite musical of all time. Like, I arguably may like it more than Beauty and the Beast. I really need to think about it. But at least, if you don't count Disney musicals, this is my favorite. I've seen.
Okay, I have to know this. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I have to know this. You like it more than Coco?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I love Coco, but I love this so much more. And I'm saying the musical, not necessarily the movies or
Yeah, no,
like,
that's
Broadway
fair.
show.
Yeah.
Musical, the whole
Yeah,
musical.
as
in
a
general.
musical, that's totally fair.
And I just remember loving the movie. I literally bought a VHS of the 1960s version, like later when I was in high school. I've seen the musical.
I don't sorry to interject, but like, high school in this case was in like 2009 to 2012,
Yeah,
well
pretty much.
after VCRs were dying.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much.
What? Like the early Blu-rays of this movie.
I found it at a thrift store. I was like, wait, there's another one? What is that?
Oh, yes.
And I literally just was curious. I'm like, and that's how I found out about the 1960s version. And I've seen the musical at least 3 times. At least. Sadly, not on Broadway, although I did watch a bootleg of that many times as well. So more if you count that. But I saw it like live in like community theaters all throughout my life, at least 3 times. One that was amazing, one that was good, and one that was terrible. So, and it was so, I've seen it all, and I've auditioned for it like a couple times as well. Sadly, have not been in it, but maybe one day, because I want to play at least one role in this play before I die. I really do, and I don't care what. I don't care if it's even just the commercial guy. I'll play it. I'll play anything.
You should play as Christopher Guest. You should play as what is that plant up under the window?
That's the commercial guy. That's what I call him.
Oh, the commercial. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I couldn't hope, but we'll talk about him. I love this musical to death, and it was Kirby. I think I suggested like we do something different with the podcast, but Kirby was just like, no, let's just watch Little Shop, and I'm like, great, let's do it. I want to talk about it.
You took zero convincing. It took Wash. I don't want to say it took convincing, but it took me saying that this was a good bridge between Higurashi and Decor for them to be like, all right, good enough.
Yeah.
Not only that, but this also gave me an excuse to check out 2 directors I've been meaning to watch for a while: Roger Corman and Frank Oz. And like I said, I already saw this, but like, God, fuck, I love the direction in this film. So good.
And before we get into anything else, for everybody in the audience saying, wait, Kirby fan, I thought you only watched animated films. Audrey 2, animated.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Boom.
Honest to
Checkmate.
God, they put just the puppet alone. Oh my God.
Like, genuinely, I'm going to suggest this. Like, we talk about not Audrey 2, and then we talk about Audrey 2. Like, I'm actually okay with
I'm
it.
going to talk about a lot more.
We kind of did that for the puppets in in Starship.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, I think I do want to talk about like the characters and the plot.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff. And
like,
I'm gonna go in detail. And I'm also, my honest to God, I love the movie, but my favorite, I'm gonna tell you my favorite thing about Little Shop is the 2003 Broadway version. That's the one I love the most.
Really? It's not the 80s movie.
No, it's like very slim, but like,
Wow.
I'll tell you why in the end.
Okay,
But,
I've only watched the 80s movie. I haven't watched
yeah.
anything else.
I'll tell you. I'll say the magic words in the stage version. And they
Okay.
and it'll because there's a lot of changes.
All right. It's this equivalent to Higurashi's I will neither confirm nor deny.
I kind of, yeah. Either way,
Okay.
and even so, I still love the movie. It's the one that introduced it to me, and I wanted to rewatch it again to see how it held up after all these years. I watched the director's cut because I own the DVD of that. Which now you're like, what's the difference between the original and the director's cut? We'll get to that when we get to that.
When we get to that.
Where do we start with the plot synopsis?
The plot synopsis. Would you like to do it, Rainer?
Sure. It all takes place in Skid Row, when Seymour Krelborn finds a strange and unidentified plant that he calls Audrey 2. And when the business is about to close down, that plant brings business and booming and makes Seymour super famous. But it turns out the only way to make the plant strong and alive is defeated blood. So, see what happens when Seymour's greed and gets the best of him as he tries to figure out what to do to feed the plant and keep the success going and the consequences that lead to it.
Very nice. Very well done.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
So, logically, it would make sense to start with Seymour. Do we want to start with Seymour, or is there anywhere else you'd like to go first?
I'm trying to think. I think Seymour makes sense, but also there's something I kind of want to talk about.
I would rather talk about
trio?
something that doesn't directly relate to Seymour, but it's just such a great hook for the film.
The opening?
Intro,
Yeah.
the opening.
Are we talking about the text crawl or after that?
Little shop of horrors, little shop of terrors.
Exactly. The Greek chorus song, just, oh my god. This whole, I was looking into it, and especially like comparing between the 1960 and 1986, this film goes ham on like 50s, 60s nostalgia, which was very in vogue in the 80s.
Yeah.
And this opening crawl, just doing some like vague thing about the horrors that are upon us, going straight into that gorgeous like doo-wop piano, and then of course you have the Greek chorus singing in just the worst neighborhood you've ever seen.
Oh, but it looks so good though. Like
it's so good and it's so horrible. Like
yes.
it really sells that this is a place where like just dreams go to die.
I think they demonstrate that more in a later song, but the opening really does get you like sucked in and ready to watch the picture. Like, I wasn't kidding when it hooked me from like the first song. It's just such a great doo-wop, great lyrics. I love the visuals with the lightning and the rain. It's so cool.
They actually like poured rain on it too. The poor actress.
Apparently, according to the behind the scenes, they did put a rig on them to try to not get them wet while all the rain was happening, but they still got wet anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna sit here and be like, pout, this song sucks. 0 out of 10 film. I talked about this a lot during Star Kid, and I think this is at least like enough of a bop to where it's like fine. I'm not a fan when songs repeat things a lot, and there's a lot of little shop of word that comes after whichever little shop of the other word. Like there's a lot of that. It got very repetitious for me.
I understand that, especially after
song,
Star Kid.
We're not going to talk about the songs yet. We'll get to them. Downtown, I liked a lot more.
Oh yeah,
it's weird because that also like repeats the word downtown.
Yeah, it's
downtown.
much different. It's much different when it's one word compared to like a verse.
Not to mention, while the main role of the opening song was just to get you like in the mood for what's to come, this job is to tell you how bad shit is in Skid Row. Like it's telling a story with it too. And not just the story of Seymour and Audrey and everybody in the town, even people who like you see like only once. Like the extras that they have in this film is so good. And
really quick. Because we're talking about the opening number and the song and everything. I'm probably gonna butcher some names here, but I do want to for both the opening number and just throughout the movie. A job very well done to Tichina Arnold, Michelle Weeks, and Tisha Campbell. Those are the three actresses that sing throughout the movie.
Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, those are their names.
Yes. I sometimes forget it, but like they are a prominent role in all. They aren't in the 60s version of sadly, but like from the 80s version, from the musical onward, they are like the chorus, and they stick around, and they really add to it, and like they're great. They're great. Every time I see them, I love them. They're wonderful. They sing so well.
They're great for that sort of comedic contrast, the contradiction on screen of these, like the well done hair the dresses, all in this skeezy, slimy, damp Skid Row, and with them like singing inside the eponymous little shop, whereas you have Mushnick just like being miserable while everybody's just like grooving right behind.
It's so great.
Loiterers.
Also, the notice the total eclipse, rare total eclipse appears on the news paper was really a little cool Easter egg there, or a little cool foreshadowing. That's the word. There's a lot of little things in here that I will notice in the director's cut. It's really cool. And again, I understand because especially with the repeating things, I think they're doing it as one to just establish the tone of the musical, because despite the tragedy that happens, it's still a comedy.
This is definitely a horror. I'm sorry, a comedy before it is a horror.
Yes. Sure. But also it's catchy. They do it just so it can get stuck in our heads.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
it's funny you mentioned that, and we'll get to characters, but like I said, this is way more of a comedy than it is a horror. And I would say like the original, it actually like kept it pretty well balanced, and especially the finale, which we'll get to.
Oh yeah,
the original definitely has the benefit, which is so weird to think, but definitely with horror, this is a benefit of being black and white. When things are black and white, it's just so much more inherently atmospheric, even for a silly movie like Little Shop.
And they're both like completely different in scale and budget too.
The original was shot in like a couple days. Yeah.
It's like 2 days. It was 2 days, and then
super efficient.
Behind the scenes documentary was like a guy was like, I wanted to see if I could make a movie in 2 days.
And you know what? God bless Roger Corman for that.
Yeah.
He is an efficient motherfucker.
Yeah. And you know what? It dawned one of the best musicals of all time.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to discount the 80s version too much. It does have its moments. Like, on this rewatch specifically, the moment, I know, axe murder, Higurashi, whatever. But when Seymour, you see his shadow lifting the axe, and Mushnick is, like, looking at it, like, and getting, like, really, like, freaked out, like, oh my god, there's an axe, and he just keeps, like, swiping down, and you see, like, the blood patches were a little goofy, but, like, I was impressed at how, like, I don't know how to say, it's not scary, but good horror it was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like, even for a comedy, it takes itself seriously.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for a comedy, it's terrifying. But for, like, the general standard, like, I was still impressed at how good, I guess atmospheric might be a good word. I was impressed by how atmospheric it was in this generally silly movie.
The opening is great. Now we can start with the characters.
Yeah, let's talk about Seymour.
Seymour Krelborn, played by Rick Moranis. Genius casting. They wanted him from the beginning. I can tell you that.
I'm trying to think if I've seen a movie with Rick Moranis in it or not. I'm not sure, but by watching this movie, I can tell you, brilliant casting.
I have Ghostbusters.
Oh, duh, he's in Ghostbusters. Oh, of course.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh my, okay, wow, I've seen like a ton of Rick Moranis movies. Okay, yeah, no, brilliant cast.
And Brother Bear.
Wait, what? He was in Brother Bear?
He was in Brother Bear. That was like one of his last films.
Well, was he in Brother Bear? I have.
Let me double check.
I'm gonna cut this out, but like, what?
He played one of the moose.
Oh God!
He played Rut. From Brother Bear.
I'm gonna forget that. But yeah, it's such genius casting. He pulls off the role. He manages to nail the serious moments and still also like the comedic ones. Like he plays the nerdy guys very well, and it's not just like nerdy, clumsy, quiet to himself, sweet guy, I guess. Which the 1960s version is kind of like it's kind of like a 1950s Morty. Aw, jeez.
He's more he's more neurotic in the 1960 version. Yeah, I was thinking like Morty. Oh, jeez, Rick. I don't know if I want to feed this plant anymore.
I know.
Morty, you gotta give it the blood, Morty. You gotta give it your blood.
Even the plant kind of sounded like a high pitched Rick, like feed me.
Yeah, that's true.
I turned myself into a plant. I'm Plant Rick.
Still saying we're sticking with Seymour. Yeah, the original one is much more neurotic, and also it just feels the original one feels like a kid in an adult body because his mother is alive in the original, and his mother is like is hypochondriac, so she's just like diagnosing herself with everything, and Seymour is just used to like eating like medicine for dinner because it's like her mom thinks that counts as nutrients. And in this one, his parents are dead, and he gets raised by Mr. Mushnick.
I'm gonna make this joke again that I made in Higurashi. Wow, we really want to sympathize with this character. What should we do? Oh, I know, kill her parents.
yeah, pretty much. Do you think Seymour pushed his parents off a bridge?
Honestly, we don't know after what he did with the plant.
One thing I definitely noticed, I heard from James Earl in the 60s version, like, he throws a rock at somebody and he falls on a train track and gets ran over. Compared to the 86 version where he technically doesn't even kill the guy. He just, like, overdoses himself on gas.
Yep.
And goes cuckoo bananas.
Yeah. In both cases, they're kind of blameless, but in the 86 version, he actually has a purpose to like kill and store the body and everything like that. In the 1960 film, he does it by complete accident and then decides to just carry the body with him into the shop. And then he's be like, "Hey, wait, this might be useful, I guess. Sure, we'll go with that." And then that it was to that where the Mushnick found out, and we'll talk about Mr. Mushnick, but the difference isn't there. Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy.
But still staying with Seymour. I like the performance of Rick Moranis more, but I feel like I would prefer the backstory of the original film. Because him just being an orphan, it feels too easy.
I disagree. The mother didn't impress me at all in the 60s. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like she was just a one-note joke, and that's it. And it just kept going and going and going and didn't really build up to it. Like, a part of me kind of wishes she got eaten by the plant. The plant was like drunk off of medicine. But I thought that's what it was going to happen at one point. But
no, the puppet is not nearly that sophisticated in the 1960 film.
I know.
Unlike,
I like the 86.
We'll talk about
but I don't know. I kind of like, one, it simplifies casting. Two, it makes Mushnick and Seymour closer because
I super agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the original, he's just, what? I hate you. You are nothing to me. And then later he's like, oh, you're making me money. You're like a son to me, which is,
yeah, what I find funnier.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's jarring.
It's a dark comedy. That's exactly what I like.
Yeah, I disagree. With this one, however, he does raise. He still acts the same. He's still like, Seymour, god damn it. But at the same time, you see the kindness of Mushnick. You see the humanity of him. He's really just trying to survive in Skid Row.
So I've never seen the 60s version, so I can't comment. But if we're talking about dark comedy, points a gun at Seymour. You're turning yourself into the police. Opens the door, closes the door. You know what? You're like a son to me. Maybe I won't shoot you. That's pretty funny. Goddamn funny to me. That was pretty goddamn funny to me.
Dude, that like, I feel like that sort of turn is way more earned in the original film than in here.
I feel like
I don't know. It feels earned to me because he's like as funny. He actually is. It makes sense. But at the same time, it's still so far out of reality because, like, you're pointing a gun at him. You're kind of, like, not a father figure anymore. But he's still trying to push that card. I'm definitely, like, I see your point, Wash, but I am with Random on this one. Although, I've never seen the 60s version, so my opinion doesn't matter. So,
in the stage version, they actually really cement this, and they have... Because at one point... I think Oren has a conversation with Seymour being like, why don't you just leave this place and sell it? Why not do that? You can get out of here and sell the plant. Mushnick overhears this and freaks out when Seymour says, sure, I'll think about it. And because he just wants Orin to get out of there, but Mushnick freaks the fuck out. He's like, he'll think about it. He'll think about it. Oh, God. and it ends, and then there's a new song called Mushnick and Son, where Mushnick is like, hey, I want to adopt you now because you're making money. Could you please be my son? And it's literally like this Fiddler of the Roof type of thing. And it happens. They literally call the business Mushnick and Son, and the adoption happens, and it happens right before a certain plant starts to talk. So that with that, it actually becomes a bit of a plot point.
So okay.
Interesting.
Are we then talking about Mushnick? Because I do want to talk about some other difference between the 1960 and 1986.
Technically about everybody, but especially about Seymour. In the 80s version, I really like the acting performances. Feel like they're straight out of theater.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Very, like, the way that they enunciate things, even the way they, like, move around the quote-unquote stage and look at each other. Very, very musical theater, kind of. And I like that a lot. At first, it was a little jarring to me, because I'm like, this doesn't really work for, like, a movie. Like, this is a movie, it's not a musical. But it took, like, all of 5 minutes for me to just be, like, having fun.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I was watching a 1960 film, the whole time I was thinking, was this based on a stage play? Because, like, so much of the staging and so much of, like, the writing feels like this came from theater, especially when you have, like, long scenes where everybody is talking in, like, one of 4 locations that they'll swap around between.
I would think that was just the style of film at the time.
It wasn't a style of film at the time. It was just that this is what they could afford to do.
That
Exactly,
too.
yeah, on 2 days.
2 days.
2 days, exactly. Like they. But it's just really funny. And I looked up. It's like, no, this really was just how it was written. It's quite fun.
I'm just gonna say I agree with Kirby. Like it does feel like a stage. Probably why I love it so much. It feels like a stage play. Like in the film, they do expand upon it. Like instead of because in the stage play, it all takes place either in the shop or in other places, which is literally just out like right outside of the shop. Because that's how theater is. You do go to like the dentist office, you go to the radio station, you go to outside into the alleys of Skid Row. You get to see a lot more than you would because of the film. So they do play with that around with that a bit. But they also, I remember the director saying like, if we need to go there, we'll go there. Like I want to give the feeling like these people will go there on a daily basis if they could. We don't want to put them in a location just to put them in there.
Yeah, exactly, which is really nice.
Yeah. It's and it really speaks to the like where the location they do have. They really put the effort into like sell this location. Like you really feel the griminess, like even with like a green sky, like we're in Emerald City. It's just so grimy in Skid Row, and so like quiet and dinky inside the shop before they've had their massive success. And again, like going ham on 60s nostalgia, especially Somewhere That's Green. That is just line after line of references. It's like Howdy Doody and Better
I Love
Home
Lucy.
I Love Lucy.
Big enormous 12-inch screen.
Oh, I love that line. I love that line.
I remember college.
We'll get to the song, but that specific line, like, I was like, I don't feel like I should be laughing at this, but I'm actually, like, cracking up.
No, you should be laughing at it. Like, it is very kitschy. Like,
yeah.
it's
like, that's the kind of song, that's why The Simpsons was made. Like,
Somewhere That's Green. I feel like
we'll
we
talk
didn't
about the songs later.
I want to talk to songs later, but I want to talk about Seymour some more but we also want to talk. I want to talk about Our Leading Lady too, because like
Well, okay, well, how's this? You wrap up Seymour then. How's that?
All right. I'm just saying, like, Seymour, he just does such a good job with just interacting with everybody. Like, he seems to be like, every time he's always Seymour. He's always just like, I don't want to call him pathetic, but like it's kind of almost like this, like he just plays the role of the sweet but like insecure, trying to and finally happy that something's going right. Oh shit, it's going wrong, Seymour. And you do sympathize with him a lot. You do want to see him win in the day. So much to a point that I'll lead to a story later. But I really do enjoy. I really enjoy him as the protagonist and as a character. Like, he's one of my favorites.
No disrespect to the song, it's a wonderful song, but Seymour in Grow for me, oh god, so good, so good.
Yup. So good. They do one subtle thing in the stage version that I just like a little bit better. In the end, Seymour sings "Grow for me," and in the stage version, he just goes, "Please grow for me," like he speaks it, and I'm just like, and I like that a bit better. I don't know why,
I do too.
but it's just simpler.
Well, I mean, I can tell it's because I'm not thrilled with musicals, but
I think it might be like a practical thing, because in this one, they were actually lip syncing to their own audio, so it might have just been weirder for them to try to like speak it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
But speaking of the musical and the next character, they got Ellen Greene from the original off-Broadway production to play Audrey. And she is so good.
Okay, can I? Oh,
do you not like her?
This my issue feels super personal, but I don't get what she's doing when she's talking. When she's singing, she's great. You know. You really get the sadness of it. When she's talking, she has like it's like she's speaking through her gums. Like oftentimes, like I'm like looking around. It's like, is she using her tongue like at all? Because it feels like she wasn't like enunciating anything when she's talking. It was driving me insane the whole way through, with just how like breathy. And just like a stiff lip. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind just talking about it, because I feel like it is so personal to me.
I'll say this much: when I heard her talk for the first time, I laughed and I was like, "All right, she's putting on a goofy character voice." And then the movie kept going. I was like, "Oh, that's the way she sounds." Oh, I'm shocked you haven't bought up Star Kid yet. I was very much reminded, like, early on of, like, a February kind of character. And for those who have no idea what Starship is, or Star Kid for that matter, it was intentional at that time. I'm not a fan of February. And starting out, I wasn't the biggest fan of Audrey. And for a very similar reason to Wash, I thought, well, I also kind of thought like there wasn't too much to the character, but her voice also kind of grated on me a little bit. Then Somewhere That's Green happened, and everything clicked to me. She talks like that, and acts like that, and generally is like that, because she thinks very little of herself, and the only way that she can see value in herself is if she is this pumped up, pretty lady that is like the beat in your head textbook good wife of a woman. So her always talking like this and stuff like that isn't because, like, I mean, it's off-putting, I will grant. It's not something that I liked at the beginning, but the longer the movie went on, the more I was like, oh, she acts like this because that's what was put into her head, probably. I don't know about how young of an age, but at the very least, in this abusive relationship that she's in. Like, this guy is beating into her that she has to be this proper wife, and she's always afraid and nervous, and she's gotta act perfect because that's what the wife would do. And I've gotta act that way, and if I can't, I'm just a terrible person. No one would want to be with me. And it's like, I think that added so much to the character that by the time the play was over, I was like, I went from thinking there was nothing to this character and she was just like a February kind of love interest. I really love Audrey.
I will I'll let Random respond as well, but I will add that what I'm saying is purely to do with the performance, not with the character. I'm not sure how I feel about how the film portrays Audrey, but in terms of Audrey herself as a character, I don't think I have that nearly as much of a problem with it. It's just my thing is that like I'm half deaf. I rely so much on lip reading, and if I had this if I didn't have the subtitles, I don't know that I'd be able to understand half of it. Because of
that's super fair. It's
fair.
unfortunate. It's super fair. I still think it leads into like what's being beaten into her head, but also like facts are facts. Like it is hard for people to understand.
Yeah.
Good reason or not, it is hard. So I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, Random.
Yeah, I probably was like that at first. But again, she just put I like the performance, not necessarily for the voice. I can understand. But yeah, like Herbie said, she's doing this because she believes what she wants is to just, or at least what she's doing is she has to be this perfect person. And she has to listen to her boyfriend who will abuse her otherwise. And if she beats him like this when he likes her, God knows what he would do if she angered him. God. And that fear is in her. So she's just trying to be like this perfect housewife almost. And talk about people who like hate themselves because they're depressed. Oh my God. She says 1,000 times like she doesn't deserve a guy like Seymour. She doesn't deserve like a nice guy. She deserves like the worst. She feels bad when she finds out Oren disappears, and that might be foul play. She admits she kind of wants it to happen, and she feels terrible about it. But like, and that she deserves people from the gutter, both figuratively and literally. The joke was there.
Yeah.
And Somewhere That's Green. You all said it was a fun song, and it does have a lot of references, but it's also kind of heartbreaking.
Oh, just super heartbreaking.
Like I kind of almost cried when rewatching it again, just because you just like see all the like what she wishes for visualized, and then it cuts to her at her apartment in Skid Row, and you just feel the sadness of like she wants to be in that place, but she can never get there, and it just hurts. It hurts, and that's the moment like everyone falls for Audrey, and everyone relates to her.
I think the Audrey part that like she started talking and she said a line and I cracked up and then I stopped laughing and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna cry, half because I laughed at that, half because oh my goodness, is when she tells Seymour that he needs to give himself a break, maybe go out and buy some clothes. He's like, oh no, I can't do that. And she's like, listen, Seymour, you're just really down on yourself and you lack personal self-confidence. Like literally what other people were saying. Well, the chorus, the Greek chorus was saying about her.
Yup.
And it's like, oh, it's like she thinks that, and she's like repeating it to Seymour. That's actually like really funny. And then it's like, sob.
Yup. It's so good.
That's what I love so much about Audrey. Like on the outset, she is just like the girl. But there's so much to this character.
Yeah, it's so much. And again, I love Ellen Green's performance.
Me too.
Like, she pulls it well. And
I will agree with Wash. It is, like, I love what it means for the character. The voice is a little unfortunate.
Yeah,
I can't, as much as I'm, like, I'm gung-ho logically, like, on paper, but still.
I think... You know what I think it is? I think it's the difference between theater and film.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because she literally came from the stage production.
Exactly. She came from the stage production. She's probably doing the exact same performance she did from the stage production. I mean, who knows? Because I don't know if we'll ever find like bootlegs of the original 80s run, but I think like I would have bought this a lot more, and I wouldn't have been as bothered if it was on the stage, and you had the luxury of like microphones on stage and stuff like that. With here, when it's like closed up, you got some it hits some problems for me.
Understandable. I get it. Before we talk about them, there's one moment I want to talk about between Seymour and Audrey that isn't the ending. Suddenly Seymour. It's such a beautiful duet. And I
have history with this.
I have some too. Actually. Go ahead. You first.
So in high school, actually, there were I just so happened to show up for an audition for Little Shop of Horrors, where they're gonna do a high school production of it. I never saw I saw it once. I never prepared anything for it, but one of the songs we did in the audition was Suddenly Seymour. I just remember the drama teacher being really surprised that I remembered how the song went like after my first try. So like ever since then, Suddenly Seymour is like one of the only songs I can remember aside from the title, obviously. And it's a hell of a song, man.
It's one of the quintessential Broadway love songs. It really is. They just sound nice. Like Rick Moranis is a bit weak in the vocal department. I'm not gonna lie to you, but he still acts it well and performs it well.
Here's what I love about Rick Moranis singing. Like, I'm with you. He could definitely be a better singer. He comes alive. Well, okay, Seymour comes alive when he sings.
Oh, he does.
Oh yeah.
He goes from being, weak, pathetic little Seymour to just having that banging voice.
If you're talking in terms of what's the term? Like classically, he's not a good singer, but he's an actor first. And he definitely knows how to act this role.
You know what it reminds me of? Sort of. It's like a bit of a stretch, but just in terms of like it's not a good singer, but like it works. It has like that Quasimodo vibe from Hunchback.
I was gonna say Angela Lansbury from Beauty and the Beast with Mrs. Potts. Technically not a good singer, but she acts her heart out.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Random. I prefer Hunchback.
No, I get it.
I'm sorry, Random.
And if you want to hear pipes. Those notes by Ellen Green. Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Holy shit. Oh, so good. Like that's what.
Especially in Suddenly Seymour.
Yeah, like I will say she mostly puts up the voice with someone that's green. She goes all out with Suddenly Seymour.
Here's this. I can't word it. I'm just gonna word it like this because I can't think of a better way to put it. My problem with Suddenly Seymour has nothing to do with Suddenly Seymour. I am a fan of, like, I play Kirby all the time. I'm a fan of just, like, that upbeat, catchy, like, bops. And most of Little Shop, with, like, this song and Somewhere That's Green, are the two exceptions. And Somewhere That's Green, like, made me cry. And then you got the rest of the song, the rest of the song list that are just like, God, they're so cool! So, like, it's one of those things, it's... like, I don't know, it's like by extension, I guess. Kind of like when we were talking about some of the better Star Kid song rankings. We were like, I guess I like this one least, sort of. That's like just the best way that I can think of it. It's a beautiful song. It's just, there's so many of my favorites we haven't even gotten to yet. But...
yeah, I know. All right, so we talked about Seymour, Audrey. We kind of talked about Mushnick here and there, but out of all the main casts, I hate to say he might be the least one to talk about other than, like, plot points.
I liked him.
What? Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I just said that I liked him.
Oh, I like him too, but like, I think he's great.
Okay. This honestly reminded me of Airplane. They're at the Shaw doing nothing. Like Audrey just came. Audrey. Yeah, no, I had it right. Audrey just came into work. Seymour just dropped like the potted plant. But there's like it's quiet, everything has moved on, and then Mushnick just goes after like a couple of seconds of silence. He just goes, "That's it, everybody go home. I'm closing up shop." Like, it was so Airplane. Like, when the guy says, "What's going on here? We deserve to know the truth." Like, it felt right out of Airplane. I laughed so hard.
It was so good. He has a lot of great lines.
Yeah.
The Audrey 2 is not really a healthy girl. Strictly between us, neither is the Audrey 1.
Oh my, that was horrible.
It's
That was horrible.
It's horrible, but it's true.
It's so bad, though. It's so funny.
He has a lot of good stuff, and he's relevant to the plot. And he even tries to pull the whole scene with like, trying to get like, oh, I'll let you go free and you go out of town if you tell me how to feed the plant.
I'm gonna have to know how to feed her after all.
Yeah.
I
So
love that. Audrey 2, we'll talk about later.
Audrey 2. All right. But there's one of the main four that we haven't talked about yet. Steve Martin as the dentist.
Oh, we're done with Mushnick? Okay.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
It's good. It's good. Wash, what are your thoughts on Mushnick?
I think that Mushnick is fine, and I'm gonna have to get pointed to the 1960 version. I feel like that Mushnick I thought was much funnier, and I also thought it was just I thought it was more interesting that he actually knew all along that Audrey was feeding blood to the plant, not just that he murdered a guy, but and thus it becomes like an internal conflict for him of like, oh my god, I'm getting all of this amazing success, and I have I'm an accomplice to murder, and I just found that way more interesting. But this the 86 one is fine. He serves his purpose, and there's nothing I can really fault with him. I can't fault him for being something he's not. You know?
Yeah.
He's fine.
All right.
I love his eyes. The actor. I love his eyes.
His facial expressions are great.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the quippy one-liners that the original one has, where he's the original one is he's like an immigrant, like a Turkish Jewish guy, and he just has so many quips about it that made me chuckle. But just the way he looks like a frumpy boss who's gone through shit and just wants any break.
Yep. And so much so he grabs his success with Seymour as much as he can.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Steve Martin
as
the dentist.
I don't know how much of a hot take it is, and I am aware of what comes after. The dentist song is my favorite song. I like that one the most.
I understand.
I like it more than Mean Green Mother and all the other. Even Feed Me. The dentist song is my favorite one. It is so funny.
Oh, it's great. I just the fact that Steve Martin plays it up and is both funny and scary at points. To the point where all the visual gags of the dentist office from everyone hiding from him.
We can all relate, right? We can all relate.
Oh, this movie made me afraid of the dentist.
It made everybody afraid of the dentist. It made everybody afraid of the dentist, okay?
I mean, a dentist in the 1960s probably didn't help shit with all the drilling and tooth pulling they've been doing back then. Good grief.
Yeah, and
this far exceeds the original film too. Oh my god, just so. In terms of the dentist, just far exceeds it. Far funnier. Just far more memorable too.
And talking about this on a film front, and spits. It's Seymour kicking a puddle of water. Beautiful transition.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Also, Steve Martin absolutely kills the role. Perfect. No complaints.
He's a guy that knows, in terms of Steve Martin himself, he knows exactly, he knows that what he's playing is extremely stupid. And he goes full on board with it. He knows that this is schlock, this is dumb. And he's gonna do everything with a wink and a smile, as Steve Martin would do.
Could you imagine? I mean, I'm just gonna word it like this. Could you imagine a version of this movie without Steve Martin, and this character isn't like totally played up for laughs? Like how all of a sudden this movie goes from being like really light and fun to super depressing.
Yeah.
This is my problem, and it's not so much a problem with like Steve Martin or maybe even the character, but I felt him as the abusive boyfriend just led to a few like mood whiplash, where there are moments where I know I'm supposed to be laughing, but it's like I'm seeing a woman get like verbally and physically abused. Like the very first scene we see with Audrey is her with a black eye. Like right away it's just like, oh dear God. And supposed to be like laughing, or it's like what? It led to some mood whiplash, unfortunately.
So
like the dentist had nothing. He was no character in the original. And here they at least make him like a have some relation to the character.
So here's my defense. It is not. I feel like it's a dark comedy is the easy one, but if your comedy comes from like abusing women, it's not funny.
Yeah.
But however, my defense, and this is more so like the tone of the movie being the way that it is. And I'm not even gonna say that like we never directly see him physically abuse her, because we see him verbally abuse her, and that's bad enough. We see Audrey with the black eye, which is super serious. Later in the film, we see Steve Martin by himself being super goofy. Then when we see him again, he's being super goofy, but he still has that abusive side towards him. So we know that like you get enough of a space between everything. Like it's all spaced well enough. It didn't feel like whiplash to me. It more meant like I'm not laughing at Steve Martin verbally shouting at Audrey. I can't even remember the character's name. I know he has, but it's just Steve Martin did such a good job. Where I'm not laughing at him shouting at Audrey. I am laughing at him.
Yeah.
Because everything is so well spaced, and we don't actually see the worst of what he does to her.
I just find him kind
That's
of
my defense.
like my defense is I just find him like terrifying because the tone of the film and the original ending. It's a comedy, sure, but it has its dark moments and it has its serious moments too.
It is still a horror.
It works. And it also helps because we're not supposed to, I mean, we're supposed to laugh at him, but story-wise, we're not supposed to like him. It's the character we love to hate. And so much so that like a later scene happens where we actually want him dead. And we're rooting for Seymour.
Oh my God, his death.
Yeah, but
we'll talk about it.
It's just I just remember the fact that he could just turn on a dime from like goofy to a threat. Just terrifying to me.
So I like this because your defense is really good on this movie from the horror perspective, and mine is really good from the comedy side.
Agree.
Okay.
So I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Either way,
if you have that whiplash problem, like I'm not going to take that away from you, but I just like that our defenses work for both ends of the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to make like horror parody or just slap horror elements into a comedy or just slap funny elements that shouldn't be there into a horror flick just for the sake of it. But like the balance is definitely more towards the end of comedy 100%, at least in the 80s version, but this is still a horror film.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say about Oren? Oren is his name.
Oren, okay.
We can just call him the dentist because he's
the dentist.
They say dentist like a billion times.
So, two things we got to talk about. His death and the masochist.
I would say that leads to the cameo, so let's start with the death.
Okay, let's start with oh my God.
What a way to go.
What a way to go.
Because in the 1960 version, he just gets stabbed by dental tools, which is boring.
In the 60 version, it was like Seymour grabs like a tool, and the dentist go, a duel, you say? And they just, it's like, what is going on? Is this like a Starkid production? Why is this so like sloppy? And then he just gets stabbed. And in the 1960 version, which is part of why I like the masochist in that version better, Seymour pretends to be a dentist for the masochist, and you have that sort of like the dentist who doesn't actually want to any part of this. Although this one is also totally good, where you have like a sadist against a masochist.
We'll get to that.
Oh my god.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but
okay, but the death is like you couldn't have done a better death than this, and Steve Martin rides it all the way, like he's dying in front of, and he's actually like panicking too. You can hear him like oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, like he knows he's about to die.
Seymour pulls out a gun and he just laughs at him because of the gas. He's like, wait till I turn this gas off, and then he rips off the knob. Uh-oh.
It's so funny.
It's funny, but also terrifying if you think about the implications.
Yeah, he's gassing himself to death. Like he's laughing, but he's asking for help. Like oh my god, it's so good.
And the thing is,
you can't help but laugh because it's so funny.
Yeah, his laugh is so contagious, even though he's dying his last breath, and it makes Seymour look innocent because he didn't have to kill him.
Yeah, no,
I definitely want to talk about that with Seymour when we get to the ending, like how much of the deaths he was really involved in. But that's something for the ending.
Yep.
That said, like I think because we were talking, we did also mention the masochist, and I think because in the film the order was swapped. You get the death first and then the masochist, and here is the masochist first. And I think that kind of worked better for the death because like when he's about to like do his dental surgery on Seymour, he's like super frustrated.
Yeah.
Because he really wanted to make a guy feel in pain, and Bill Murray wouldn't give him any of it.
Yeah.
I specifically love when he goes up to him with the tool. He's like, "You're scared of this tool, right?
Yeah.
If I put this into your mouth, you'd be afraid, right?
Yeah. Like, get your ass over here. One thing
Do I know you?
One thing I say, but do I know you? He asks him like 3 times who he is, and he gets it wrong every time. One thing I want to say, before we get to the masochist and the cameos for that matter, in the stage version, they do have the gas scene, of course, but it's a song, and it's not as happy. It's funny and twisted because it's basically a song where not only where Seymour's debating to shoot him with a gun, but he can't do it, and then the gas happens, and he's just pleading to him in song form, and it's funny, but also very tragic and kind of terrifying for him because he does experience that. So I like the song version a bit better just because, music, but I think both are effective.
It sounds to me like no song would be funnier, but I haven't seen the Broadway, so I can't comment.
I feel like for film, I'm glad there's no song. For stage, I'm glad there is.
I can at least agree to the first half. Well, again, we'll see, but I at least agree to the first half.
Yeah. Anyway, cameos. Let's start with Bill Murray as the masochist.
Okay, I'm going to make this super quick because you two have seen the 60s version. I haven't. Jack Nicholson, great. I haven't seen the 60s version. I have seen Ghostbusters, so I love Bill Murray here. That's all I got.
Okay. I'm glad you did, because I way prefer Jack Nicholson.
I like Jack Nicholson better too, but Bill Murray still has fun with it. I was just saying something funny about seeing Bill Murray, who I usually see as like a laid-back character, be like super into pain so much. And just the little things he do, like he'll keep rambling and then he'll react to the tools. My favorite is when he just like mini passes out and hits the dental thing while he's still talking. Haven't seen the knife.
So apparently those lines were improvised. Did Jack Nicholson have anything like that?
Oh, I believe it was mostly improvised.
No, I believe, from my understanding, like none of it was improvised.
Does Jack Nicholson have anything like that?
Oh, so what Jack Nicholson had is that, and we talked about this like off the call, he had like this like Beavis laugh where like just like the mere like talking about pain just makes him like it's just extremely creepy sexual laugh. Where it's like, oh no, this guy, this ain't right at all.
But what I love about Bill Murray is like, I mean, he gets super excited about it, But once he goes in to like see the dentist, he's just like, the way that he shows his excitement is just by rambling about like literally whatever is on his mind. It doesn't matter. He just rambles and rambles. And then when he sees the tools, that's when he goes like, ugh. And like Random said, like he gets so into it that he like almost passes out and bonks his head on the light. I loved it.
Say ah.
He's like, got my tongue. I love it.
Get out.
Or when he's, get out. He kicks him out. He goes, what is this? Oops. Sorry.
Goddamn sicko.
I love it. I'm sorry. I love it. I'm glad you love it. I think my issue is that, like, Bill Murray, like, now that you mentioned that, I think my issue is more that Bill Murray plays more like a clown than he does as a masochist. Like, he plays as a trickster, almost. Like it's almost like he's pranking the dentist, by enjoying it. Whereas Jack Nicholson just plain enjoys it. Like, he reads like horrible like stories from a magazine of like people dying. And it's just like just like people getting like killed in car crashes. and
that does sound funny.
And again, like in that one, Seymour has to pretend to be a dentist because he's hiding the body. So now you have squeamish Seymour just trying to just finish up the job, and the guy says, "Why are you stopping? More!" And then at the very end of the scene, he's just like, "Well, I feel fantastic. Thank you very much." And he turns around and like 10 of his teeth are gone from all of that.
I think they're both funny, but in their own different ways.
Yeah.
Fair.
Again, I am speaking of somebody, I said this before, no 60s version.
Yeah.
And I've seen Ghostbusters. Like, you've seen Ghostbusters, like, you think of Bill Murray in a different light. Like, that's just how it works.
Sure. Bill Murray in Ghostbusters is a classic. He's just a very different character in that.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
Next cameo, commercial guy.
Oh, okay.
Christopher Guest, yes.
The plant, I happened to look in your window and see that plant. What is it? That felt so Star Kid.
It was
like, I can just imagine like the coolest, calmest Joe Walker role he's ever had walking in and saying that. That's I lost it. I had to stop the movie. It's like, it's such a stupid like lead up and punchline. He does the backstory song, the flashback song, and he goes, "Interesting. I'll take $50 worth of roses while I'm here. Can you break 100?"
Oh yeah, he couldn't make change for 50, and he says, "Oh, that kid, I'll just pay 100."
I was hyena laughing so hard I could feel like the spit coming out of my mouth. Oh my god.
Feels much like the other film. It feels very sarcastic. Like Steve Martin, it feels super sarcastic, and he knows exactly what kind of role he's playing, and he's given that exact like perfect commercial guy from a 1960 commercial. It's so it's such a great time. And there's another cameo.
Yeah, a couple. But
there's John Candy, the late John Candy, rest in peace. It's as one of his weirder roles, I'll say.
Wink Wilkinson.
Wink Wilkinson. I love that name. You know, that reminds me of Aaron A. Anderson. Aaron A. Anderson. Yeah, Aronson. Sorry.
Little fucker. Sorry.
Yeah, they wrote this role for John Candy. No questions asked.
Oh, for sure.
And I not only say this because he's John Candy, but also in the in the stage version, you know, the ending where he says, "Do you mind if I call you a genius?" Gosh, no, a genius was better. But that ending section was all that's in the show. They don't have any of the radio scene with any of it in the show.
I can't imagine how you would do that. I mean, forget John Candy. I mean, okay, John Candy. But also, I can't imagine how you would do that on theater either.
That makes sense, too. Like, he's definitely nowhere to be seen in the original. And it kind of makes sense because, like this caliber of DJ for Skid Row feels weird. But, like, if if John Candy is asking to be in your show, just get some extras, get some props, and just let him like honk horns and just do like weird shit for 2 minutes. Fine. I'm fine with that.
One interesting thing I did notice though, there's one point in the beginning where Seymour I think hits a radio and it mentions the total eclipse in the radio, and that's John Candy doing it. So that's a nice consistency there.
And that also felt like Star Kid with the guy who didn't like musical, the radio broadcast they have in the middle of that. What were you gonna say, Claire? Sorry.
I don't even know if this was like intentionally a joke or not, but I interpreted that way and I love it, even though it's so stupid. They're doing like that opening jingle for the radio show, and there's like this sax solo or trumpet solo or whatever. And like as it's wrapping up, you see somebody in the station with like, you know, all their weird things, and one of them is a person with a puppet that is playing that instrument.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. And it's just like it again, I don't know if the joke is that the puppet was playing the music or if that was just like a coincidence or what. I interpret as the puppet was playing the music. I love it. It's so stupid to me.
Do you think that like it's also like Frank Oz's little wink of like, cause like behind the scenes, like whenever he was doing the Muppets, he was always like really sarcastic and grumpy about the Muppets. Do you think that was just his little like just having his little fun at Jim Henson?
It very well could have been. Very well could have been.
Like he was the kind of guy who was like before they start recordings, you say ready to go wiggle some dolls, because I'm sure that's just what he thinks of these like crappy looking puppets.
Anyways, who else we got for cameos?
We also have let's see. Oh, Jim Belushi, which just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The licensing guy.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that's ending stuff. So are there any other cameos left, or
I think those are the main four. Well, technically there is, but again, ending.
Yeah, ending.
What are we ready?
Okay,
let's talk about Audrey too.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Random. Just, I totally am okay with you preferring the 2003 Broadway version. Please at least tell me you prefer Audrey in the 86 version.
I mean, how
Audrey
can I
too.
not?
Audrey too. Okay.
Like, I mean, 2003 is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But that voice,
the puppet mastery.
Yeah, no. Like, the puppet in the stage version doesn't even, especially after learning what they did behind the scenes to make it more lifelike, doesn't even come close. Like,
my God.
And at least this list I have, Audrey 2 had 21 puppeteers.
Yep.
Like, you can't even fit that on a stage.
Oh.
Now, I'm trying to think of, like, are there any Star Kids shows that even had 21 actors? Like, senior year, which isn't even, like, a play, technically.
And like Randon said, they, and this paid off so well. They would actually perform the character in slow motion and then speed up the footage. And it's like, if you're watching it, like, it looks like CGI. It aged so well. It is criminal that movies don't look like this anymore.
Yeah. It looks better than CGI. Like, the problem with CGI, you hear this all the time, and, like, a lot of times when you hear complaints all the time, they're stupid, like Cal Arts we were talking about. But this is one that I super agree with. The problem with CGI is that CGI doesn't actually look like it's there. Audrey, I mean, okay, so Audrey,
the Band-Aid.
Audrey 2, 1 is actually there, but even like just Audrey feels like he's there, or they,
exactly.
whatever.
I remember Rick Moranis saying in an interview it felt like at times that he was actually talking to another person in the cast, and it was like, it was great.
Yeah, because guess what, he was.
Yeah, it was, and the fact that they did so much to bring him to life. And all that detail, and how the plant gets bigger and bigger, and all the puppets they used.
like the original puppet in the film is sub Kermit. It's
Okay, I like that. That's the one thing I know about the 60s version. I do like that. It's very campy.
oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun for that, but you can also tell that like whoever's operating is definitely not a puppeteer because like there are parts where it's like it's doing the cardinal sin where like whenever he says a word, like the mouth is closing.
Oh,
it's so bad, but it's fun.
You go from like so bad it's good to like some of the
God, the best thing ever.
Some of the best puppetry you're ever gonna see.
The articulation on the lips is insane.
Oh my god!
God damn! Like this is part of why I'm saying like it looks like CGI because like the amount of articulation you get is insane. I'm able to read his lips. It's a puppet. How's he doing that?
With the power of editing and great puppetry.
The fact
puppetry
that they have the puppetry down so well that Audrey too can look super intimidating and lifelike, while there are 5 little mini plants around him going and their mouths are opening larger as they need to make it sound like God. It's so good.
And it's not only just the mechanic of this puppet, but also Levy Stump.
Yeah.
Levy Stump.
Oh my god, the
good.
voice.
Transcends it. The mechanic of the puppet and the voice of the puppet are inseparable. If you take out one, it's not Audrey 2. It just
I
isn't.
super agree. 1000%.
Yeah. From the moment you figure out he talks with that voice, you're just like, oh my god. And then he sings Feed Me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Feed Me is like, I mean, I never shut up about I'm a mean green mother from outer space. But Feed Me is like his first song. What a pop.
Oh, it's I know Mean Green Mother is technically this too, but this is a great villain song. It is.
There's 4 villain songs in this musical, I think. There's Audrey has 3, and then of course we have Dentist.
Maybe 4 if you count the original ending, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay. But he's just performed so well. I love the little things he would do, like in Feed Me, how they got the vine to go up Seymour's shirt, and how like at the end, so go get it, pat. And just little things like after when you see Seymour and Audrey too watching Audrey and Oren the dentist like get in. At first it starts with a white light, and then after Seymour sees the dentist hit Audrey, it cuts to like a red light over Seymour, which is like caused by a neon sign, and it's just like cuts to the if you want a ration of that. Visually told very well, and I love it. It's just so good. Like, and that's when the plant like starts getting evil. It's like, and I love how, and he's the one who tells Seymour to chop it up. And that's where Higurashi happens.
Yes.
And,
this is a perfect fit after Higurashi.
And then it's funny, like after suddenly Seymour happens and Seymour is over the moon, the plant opens the door for him. It's like,
yes.
And then supper time. Oh.
Okay, so this is related to what you're talking about. I don't even know what my favorite thing about Audrey is, but separate from the mastery of the puppetry, separate from the voice. I still had a ball with Audrey.
Yeah.
Audrey too.
Yeah.
Like, what a fun character. I mean, again, ascends because of everything else, but what a fun character.
Like, I could totally buy. Yeah, I could totally enjoy this if I had just seen like a theatrical version, where like the puppetry isn't nearly as good and stuff, because it's just such a fun concept. And I think this looked at the 1960 film and thought, there's not nearly enough of that plant in there.
Yeah,
let's really ramp him up, because like the plant, it mostly says "feed me." It's just let's give it more to work with, and just how like sassy and sarcastic and like devilish. It's very Faustian, the performance of the
It's
of
You
Audrey
tricked
2.
me. No shit.
it literally is the devil on Seymour's shoulder. Only
that
not
was the
sounding
devil,
like Crunk.
exactly. Hey, no talking to that. That's more Annie than anything.
Yeah. And it's just like he just tempts him to do all these awful evil things. And then he like murders Mushnik, kind of, but also not. Like in this version, he just like tells him like he just literally pushes him towards the plant, but doesn't really say anything. Like Audrey 2 opens his mouth and opens their mouth, and he just sees that it's open. He's like, "What the hell is?" And he goes, "Sir," and then munch. In the stage version, Seymour literally does what Mushnik does in the 1960s version, because in the 1960 version, someone breaks in and Mushnik tells that guy that the money's in the plant.
I love that scene too. Yeah.
Seymour does that to Mushnik in the Broadway version. So that
is much darker.
Yeah, right. So
boy.
you can argue about Seymour not killing Orin, because he technically doesn't, although he's kind of more happy about it than I'd like to admit.
He's an accomplice at minimum.
Yeah. With this one, ooh, yeah. Like, they make him more innocent in this version. Which, story-wise, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I get it. But also, like, in the stage version, Seymour's more guilty than he thinks he is, and he still feels bad about it, and he hates that he's doing it, but, like, Mushnik also doesn't offer him to take care of the plan. He's like, I know what's going on. I see you staying out there. I know he's missing. If you're innocent, come to the police with me, just so my conscience is clear.
See, that now makes Seymour look worse.
Yeah.
If you do it.
Yeah. I mean,
because now and this was another thing that was kind of bugging me. When he was like killing when he killed the dentist, it's like obviously a horrible person, and then going to Audrey. I was just talking about how he deserves a nice guy. I was like, oh no, he just killed her boyfriend, and it's abused her boyfriend, but he just killed her boyfriend so they could like hook up, and like, oh boy.
Yeah.
It also shows that like it's complicated, and it also symbolizes that the greed is taking over Seymour and ruining his life, and even though it's leading him to success, and that's a whole symbolism thing there, but that's later. But yeah, and then Meek Shall Inherit happens, happens, and then the ending happens.
Okay.
Which ending?
Do we want to go into detail with the songs at all, or do we just want to stick with the ending? We've talked about the songs enough.
I think we've talked about most of the songs, except for like Meek Shall Inherit and like a few.
Yeah, and I don't have too much to say about the songs other than that I really, really like the genre and the production.
Okay, so we've got 15 minutes. I feel like we're gonna go over. If we do, I'm not too worried, but let's talk about the endings.
Yep. Let's talk about the endings. There's a reason I bought the director's cut.
Yes.
Let's talk about the one that we got.
I know what Random's thoughts are on these endings. I know what they are. And I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, and I'm also like 99% positive we disagree. So this should be interesting.
All right. So in the original the theatrical ending, Audrey gets eaten, but Seymour saves her just in time. And they sing like, "Oh, we need to defeat that plan and get out of here." Jim Belushi comes and like, "Hey, we want to make plants." And Seymour's like, "No, I'm gonna stop the plant." And Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, great song, happens. It's fantastic. It's fun. It's great.
And it's original to the film.
Original to the film.
And it sounds like it too.
Yeah,
It's so good. Who cares? Who cares?
I like it. It's a lot of fun. And then he shuts down, like he knocks down the whole set. It's crushed. Audrey 2 does an evil laugh. All of a sudden, like a Marvel hero, Seymour's fist pops out with an electric cord, zaps the fucking plant. You get these weird effects of the Audrey 2 and
It just explodes.
they shakes, and then all of a sudden you get a close up of Audrey 2 going, "Oh shit!" and just boom,
Explodes. Because that's what plants do when they're electrocuted.
That's what plants do. That's what they do. And
then
it
it's
cuts.
hunky-dory.
Yeah, everything's hunky dory.
No.
Seymour doesn't get any.
No. You're not talking about the stupid ending without talking about the shot of them running onto what has to be the worst looking set I have ever seen.
Oh my god, it's like somewhere that's green, but like what they could get from it.
Yeah.
Are you saying that like they? Oh, are you saying that like when they found out that they had to reshoot the ending, it was like, oh, we already dismantled the set. Let's
just make it let's as like the middle finger. Let's make it look worse.
Wait, and then it cuts to the three girls walking as if they're like doing a wedding thing, with one of the girls not even showing her face.
Yeah.
And it just cuts to like a little Audrey 2 being like, "I'm gonna smile. I may be back for the sequel. Fuck you." I hate this ending so much.
Yeah, no, the other ending I know we agree on. This is where we disagree. This is the funniest goddamn thing.
I wish I could
love this. I love this ending so much. It sucks. It sucks for the team that had to reshoot it. I don't like it in that regard. But just in regards to like, I'm not saying this is I'm saying this too in the favor of Little Shot. This movie is dumb. This ending on the comedic side, honestly, I like, because the 86 version is so goofy, like the other versions have a better balance. But because this one is so much sillier, I think if you were to put this ending into any of the other Little Shops, I wouldn't like it. But because this one is so silly, I think it fits like just well enough. I mean, it's a lot, and the fact that Audrey 2 explodes is again just you heard how disgusting my laugh was before. That should tell you what I think about it. But like, it's so goddamn funny.
It's so funny because it's so anticlimactic.
Yes. Oh my god. The set falls, he laughs, zap, oh shit, boom, awful set.
Wait, hold on. First off, the last line is "oh shit" in the movie.
Which is perfect, first of all.
It's
okay,
perfect.
and this is actually something that I like more about this version of the ending too. I don't know like how this was reshot, but in the original ending that you see on like the DVD, when the salesman pitches the Audrey 2s to Seymour, in that version, he just like plugs his ears and runs away. In the good ending, and the dumb ending, he actually like stands his ground and says, no, go away. I'm not interested. Go. Like he gets like really like standoffish and like finally stands up for himself. And that's how he works up the resolve to stand up to Audrey 2. In the original, he just kind of plugs his ears and runs away. But a detail I do like about that version, which we'll get into, but I do like, we don't need your permission. It's just a plan. You can ask our lawyers, which is a funny line.
Wait,
but,
did we watch this? Hold on. He didn't plug his ears and run away. At least not intentionally. Well, he kind of did.
In the version that you linked me on YouTube, that's what he did.
Weird. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just looked at the ending. But like, I watched it, of course, in my thing. But in the version I watched, he does kind of plug up his ears and run. That does happen. But like, a lot happens in between. So the original ending was apparently too sad for audiences in test screenings, so they were like, we got to change it. And it went against the creator's wishes. And
yeah, that's the bad part of the dumb ending. As much as I love it.
Oh, sure.
But it'll get worse when I describe it later. But first, let's tell you what happens. Audrey gets eaten by the plant. It's more of a struggle for him to get her out. Audrey doesn't make it. She says, she actually wants to be part of the plant because in the way they'll always be together, and does a reprise of Somewhere That's Green.
I love that there's a reprisal for that. I missed that from the dumb ending.
Yeah, you cried at that. I almost cried at that one. I bawled at that.
That was emotional.
I always do, because you get to see Audrey, who we've grown to love at this point, just die, and it's almost a religious ceremony as he like raises her towards the plant.
Yeah, and feeds her to Audrey too.
Yeah, and like with the chorus going and like doing the ahs and all that. It's sad and powerful. And then Seymour runs to a building and contemplates suicide.
Yeah.
That's fucking dark, and I didn't get that the first time I watched the ending.
Yeah, but that's when the sales guy comes up to him and pitches Audrey the little Audrey 2s that they can sell.
Yeah.
In your version, what happened?
In my version, he's like, in the version. Did it have any music with it? Because it in the
I only watched it the one time.
When he's staring at the building, or in the commentary, they were gonna add music to it, but in the director's cut version, it's just him silently staring at the ground, which I think is more effective, honestly. Because
I would agree.
But then it like, the music that plays when he like chops when he like Seymour chops Orin with the axe, like the dun 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 boom, that one.
Yeah,
that plays while I was like, Audrey chews everywhere. Duh, boom. You'll be in one of every home in America. What do you say, Mr. Krellborn? And then it does like that last dun 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 boom, and with the music playing while the little Audrey 2 that the salesman is holding, he just stares at him with an evil laugh playing in the background, and you just get a close up of his face. Well, yeah, it's him covering his eyes, but like you see the panic in Rick Moranis' face as he runs to the plant to be like, "This is what you were doing with me all along," and you could see he was gonna do the unthinkable, but he has to go to Audrey, not because he stands up for himself, because he has nothing to lose and he needs to stop this before he can go. And
I don't like that as much.
I understand, but I like that.
That's fine.
I get it because in a way Seymour gets some growth with that ending, and I get it. But I like how Seymour's sins are coming back for him, and he's just like, you've been using me all this time. You ate the only woman I ever loved. It's got to stop right here. And then Mean Green Mother happens. Nothing really changes too much until near the ending, where everything's destroyed and he eats Seymour.
Yeah.
It's
that's it. He eats Seymour. The plant wins.
Yeah, the plant wins. He literally spits out the glasses, and Don't Feed the Plants plays. And I will admit
the American flag.
Yep. I will admit, I think it does go on a bit too long. They even say in the director's commentary, this went on a bit too long. If we reached the point in editing, we would have cut this down a bit. But all that was all like models and stuff, and that was so much work that went into that ending of Don't Feed the Plants.
I totally understand, like, it's a travesty just how much work got wasted. I mean, speaking as an editor, that's life's the best. I'm sorry. You gotta kill your babies, as they say. Like, you gotta kill. There's sometimes like what you find so near and dear just has to be cut. I did find this. I did while we were talking. I did find this because Frank Oz was talking about the ending, and he said that when they originally tested it, like they had to have like a 55% recommend to have to be released, and they got a 13. The audience despised it,
all because of the ending.
All because of that ending. Like they had to like like redo everything.
And I hate it. I hate it so much.
I understand that. I totally understand. In terms of like ethically, I support the artistic decision. I definitely think that I would have liked this better if it was cut way shorter.
I was just gonna say, if there was less of people running around being terrified, and
it's just over and over again too.
Like,
yeah. So you watch the original or the non-theatrical ending, the deleted ending. You don't watch it for the people running around terrified. You watch it for the Audrey 2s.
Yeah, I agree.
Again,
mastery. It has some. It has some great visuals. Like one of the Audrey 2s, like there's a train that going through, and it just aims right for Audrey 2's mouth.
Yeah,
like that's a great gag. Sorry, 1986 audience. That one rocked.
Not to mention the Audrey 2 that like blows on the like the smoke tower and just blows up every building.
Or this was like the one gag involving the people that I really, really liked. When they were watching the TV, the vine comes out of the TV, they grab the guy, and in the background you can just see like the two vines are tugging on the woman, and she's like, ah, ah, ah.
It turns into a B movie. It turns into a B movie, and it's great.
And that's fine. But again, it's the same thing over and over again.
I agree.
If they had edited it down, I'm sure it would have just been mostly the Audreys running around town.
Yeah. Or they would just cut it down to like the cool gags and like
every like a few shots of people running around scared. They probably would have cut out the dog in its entirety because it's like, why would you even imply that there's a dog in danger? People are gonna hate that.
Yeah.
But most of it would just be the Audreys because that's the visual spectacle. That's what everyone's here for.
All right.
So I'll add this real quick because as I'm scrolling through, this is a fascinating interview. I wish I read on this earlier, but I do want to add this theory from Frank Oz about why the audience didn't like it so much. He says, it's a lesson learned because when the plant kills Seymour and Audrey on stage, the actors afterwards take a bow.
Yup.
Difference is in movies, they don't take a bow. They're gone, and so the audience lost the people they loved. As opposed to the theater audience where they knew the people who played Audrey and Seymour were still alive.
Yup.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that interview actually.
I heard it too.
Yeah. Okay, so
wait, I was gonna bring back one more piece of trivia real quick. So one of the cool things I like about the 1960 version is how it ends with the people who get eaten. They turn into
that was a generally creepy visual too.
That didn't happen in the movie, but in the stage version,
what happens? What happens? I don't know.
In the in the end.
So in the 1960 version, this becomes a big twist at the very end because it's eating people, and it's so far the cops are like dumbasses, and they just think like, oh, who knows? Hey, what's with this weird plant? Oh, whatever. And then toward the very end, it starts growing flowers, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's starting to bloom!" And all of the flowers have the victims' faces inside them.
Oh wow!
And with the 1960s cheapo budget, it actually makes it more effective with just how like disgusting the faces look.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that in the movie version. But in the stage version, they have like the chorus. I think they have the chorus like singing "Don't Be Start" the startup that they do in the movie. But instead of like a random chorus just singing while people get attacked, they have the actors come out in pedals in the stage version, and they're just singing their lines, and the plants leaves, which is really cool and a really nice reference to the original.
I think I prefer that. Like, if you're gonna go with that, I would prefer that to just have that same creepy ass visual. It's just, again, it's so startling to see.
Yeah.
And like imagining this like connected to that incredible puppet. Maybe that's what the audience would have needed if they wanted to see the couple together so badly.
I don't think it would have worked back in the 80s. Like, they could have done a lot, but that would have been almost gimmicky on a film.
Yeah, no, I can agree. I can agree.
The reason it worked in the movies was in the 60s version was because it was like so uncannily bad. It was creepy. Like, I don't think they would have made it work. But they can do that on stage because you can get away with it a bit. And it works on stage. It really, really does. I think it's really effective, even kind of creepy, and honestly kind of funny. But
oh, for sure.
And I like that better than just watching people endlessly that we don't care about get chased with some cool Audrey 2 visuals.
Well, if you're annoyed at people getting chased random, there is always Audrey 2 getting electrified.
Oh, shit!
Okay, so I do want to know this. Obviously, Random prefers the original ending just because of what the original, the original ending just because of all the nightmares with the redone ending.
The
for the
production
release.
and the response, yeah.
I appreciate that in that ending, Seymour's cause to stop Audrey 2 is less noble, therefore he loses, compared to when, he hasn't lost everything, he's actually like, okay, I want to save people now, I want to make up for my actions, and he makes it out okay. I like that little difference, but I gotta admit it, I'm in, like, the horror in this movie is great, I'm in it for the comedy, this ending is so dumb and so funny. I prefer the redone ending. And I mean, yeah, it is nice. And for Seymour, it's nice. I'm glad Audrey got that happy ending. Like, that made me happy. So Wash, which one do you prefer? And then, after that, the timer's up. But,
I'm gonna have to agree. Mainly just in terms of pacing, I feel that the original is just the better ending. Again, it's sad that it didn't work out for like artistically, but this is they at least have a sort of like wink of like, oh, everything's still not okay once you see that little that tiny little plant smiling. By the way, the structure of that smile is, again, how the fuck is that a puppet? How is that?
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
It's like, maybe if I had actually watched the full director's cut like Random did, maybe it would have placed everything better. But when I was watching just the isolated deleted scene, I was like, okay, can this be over yet? Like, I'm getting the point. Like like, you just needed the Audrey 2 gag. Especially like the Audrey 2 like bursting through the theater screen. I feel like that felt like Gremlins 2. It's like a Joe Dante film. That felt super fun.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest problem with that ending is the don't feed the plants, it's too long. 100%.
Yeah.
Other than that, I love this ending better.
Humor me really quick, Wash, and then we'll get to final thoughts.
Yeah.
Properly edited down, which ending would you take?
Shoot, that's a good question.
Random and I are pretty firmly rooted. That was a pun.
If we're going for edited, I properly edited. I think I'd have to switch back then. I like my dark comedy, so this would have been it would have been some great fun to see such an iconic monster get exactly what he wants.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered 3-1. You, Random, and the timer.
Yeah. Final thoughts.
Okay, finally, we can get to final thought.
Yes. Good lord. I was very surprised. I mentioned the 1960 film a few times. I was very surprised with both. Well, I was surprised with how much I enjoyed from the 1960 film. I was surprised that it's even a 1960 film because it feels like a 70s film with just how like grimy and cheap it is. But I was surprised with how much I enjoyed the Roger Corman film, and I can't say I was surprised, but I was pleased as punch with the Frank Oz film. incredibly well directed. Just I love the set design in this. It feels like we still haven't said enough about the puppet. It's just the most iconic thing about it. And the songs are just they're all bops. They're all doo-wop bops. And like a classic rock. It's just so much fun stuff in this. Just so kitschy and winky and fun. We're having fun, aren't we? Alright, that's my thing.
Do you want to go, Kirby, or do you want me to go?
I have no preference of going last, first, or in the middle anymore. I almost never go in the middle, but if you want me to go in the middle, it's like, whatever.
Go in the middle.
Well, okay. All right. I will, but next time you might want to be a little bit nicer, young man.
You sure do drive a hard bargain.
Okay, so I don't even know how I should say this. Like, coming into this, I was expecting a Little Shop to be like, I mean, obviously, like, amazing in certain regards, but kind of like maybe like around the Starship ballpark if I had to compare it to other things that I had seen for the podcast. Like, I'll rank it just to like have it ranked for funsies, but it's not so close to the top or so close to the bottom that like I care that much about ranking it. I finished it. I had to sleep on it. I thought about it all day at work today. I listened to a bunch of our other podcast episodes, some really good, some really bad, to, you know, neutralize, just try to, like, calm myself down a little bit. But, my top 5 movies that I've seen for the podcast so far, of course, in my opinion, and ignoring all things Higurashi, because I have Higurashi ranked as well, but those aren't movies, so I'm just not going to count it. My top 5 would be Incredibles, top to bottom. Incredibles, Tokyo Godfathers, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Silent Voice. And I really thought about it, and it's like, I like this more than Shaun of the Dead. I like this.
Ooh.
Not quite Tokyo Godfathers. I still prefer Tokyo Godfathers. Just that, like, if we're gonna talk about like mastery, like of facial expressions, there you go. And this isn't even like, oh well, I need to see the movie more. This is just my first time seeing it. It's like, no, this is my third time watching this movie. I was shocked by how much I remember it. I was shocked by how much was caught me off guard. How much fun I had with the characters. How Audrey won. I was just expecting her to be the girl. What a character. How so much depth, so much tragedy. And some good laughs here and there, too. It's not like she wasn't funny. She's not Audrey, too, but who is? Just generally, like, a lot of really good laughs, amazing soundtrack, like, 3 or 4 villain songs, depending on how you want to look at it, like, that's a steal. It's hilarious, like, out of everything we've seen this felt more like Star Kid than Spies Are Forever. This felt more like Star Kid than Black Friday. Like, so good. It is so good. And somehow we have not sung the praises of Audrey 2 enough. You cannot in a single lifetime sing the praises of Audrey 2 enough. I love this so much. This was already one of my favorite musicals, and then random showed a Star Kid, and I'm like, oh, oops, my favorite musical is Trail to Oregon now. And that's still the case for theater at the moment that we're talking, but like, I'd probably take this over TTO. Like, I love this so much. The only thing that I can really think of that I might be like, okay, maybe I could tone it down a little bit is if I choose to watch the other versions. Because there are some things that you two are talking about both the 2003 Broadway and the 60s version. I think this would still be my favorite by a country mile, just because of Audrey 2. But just some things that you were saying about those that I'm like, you know, I think if I saw that, I might like this a little bit less. So, I'm probably never going to watch those. But if I do, this might go down a little bit. But for now, I like this more than Shaun of the Dead. Absolute masterpiece. Random.
All right, I love this movie. I know, shocker.
Yeah.
But watching this movie is arguably what got me into musical theater. I would not be surprised. I can't think of any other musical early experience that isn't Disney that would have.
I was gonna say Disney.
Yeah, I like Disney is Disney, but like when it comes to not Disney musical properties, this is probably what got me into theater. And I so glad I watched it when I did. And well, the movie does have the ending that I don't like. Most of the movie is still fantastic, even so. I still prefer the director's cut, but I love this movie. The characters are great. The story is well told. The style is fantastic. The songs are bops. Feed Me is my personal favorite. It's just everything is just wonderful. Wonderful. And I never get tired of watching. I was literally watching I was literally listening to some of the soundtracks at work, both the Broadway version and the movie soundtrack. We can't praise the puppet enough. No matter how much all three of us say we can't praise it enough, we truly cannot praise it enough. They put so much effort into this green puppet that so incredibly detailed, so fun, and really love it. It's one of my favorite. It's my favorite musical of all time, and this makes this one of my favorite movie musicals of all time. Although director's cut, I don't like that ending. I don't like, mostly because I feel like one, it goes against the artists, the Howard Ashman's and original vision, because he wrote the script along with the lyrics. So
yeah, I found out that he actually he rewrote it because the original one was even more tied to the stage version.
Yeah.
Than what we got, and it's better off for it because there are so many. We didn't talk about this. There's so many movie musicals where you take those same performances from the stage, and it just feels way too extra. When you put the camera that close, everything it's way too much.
Yup, way too much. But I think here they do it just right. I love it. I love it. I'm really glad we talked about it. I would not shut up about it. And I want to see it again. It is off-Broadway in New York right now, and I am so tempted to just take a day, go on a train and see it. Because even though I've seen it so many times, I always am down to see it one more time. Because it's my favorite. I love it.
This seems like the most fun to watch as a stage.
Oh, it is. Even the bad ones,
especially with
even the bad productions still have some goodness in them. Because just well-written story. But the movie itself, I really do like it. And it's what introduced me to it and got me into theater in general. So it has a very soft spot in my heart. I don't know where I'd rank it among all the other things I've watched, but I like it more than Coco. So my favorite is Feed Me. Herbie's is Dentist. What's your favorite song, Wash?
Oh God, I gotta look at the list. I have to look at the list.
And again, just to reiterate, you have no idea how badly I want to say Mean Green Mother from Outer Space.
Oh, I know it's tough, and I love that song too, but I just like Feed Me more.
No, that's super fair. That's super fair. It's just there you go. That's how stacked of a soundtrack this is.
Yeah.
Both of them are extremely good songs. If we're gonna talk, if we're gonna do the one of us, each of us picks a different song, then mine is gonna have to be Skid Row, Downtown.
Yeah.
Oh, we did not talk about Downtown enough.
Oh, we didn't. It was so good.
No. Yeah. Especially the remember that old woman that was walking through the alley? God damn, what a voice.
There's
just everyone just did it so well, and the 1960 film just doesn't feel nearly enough like Skid Row as this song does.
Agreed. Hey, watch this movie. I know we're telling you this 2 hours in, but watch this movie.
Yeah,
please.
After all this, it's movie's alright.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
The puppet was good. I'll give you that.
I know we both love puppets. Anyway.
Oh, does this mean that we can finally do Jim Henson films?
Maybe one day.
Yeah, Jim Henson's perspective is down the line.
Yeah.
That would be so much.
And with that,
Yeah.
well, I believe this is the last one off before Decor starts.
Yeah.
Yep, we are gonna be doing again. If you didn't hear us before, we're doing Disney Channel original movies, and we're gonna pick them completely at random because there are way too many of them, and we don't have that time or patience.
And with that, this was so much fun. I love.
You know what else is fun? Plugging.
Yes,
What?
plug.
If you liked what you listened to, then you can check us out on you can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/WRK podcast. We'll let you know when the next podcast comes out, which will be Disney Channel Original Roulette or Decor. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and post comments on the latest episodes there, youtube.com/WRK podcast. And you can listen to us in audio form in wrk.simplecast.com and wherever else you may get your podcast. And emphasis on pod.
Oh my god.
Oh well,
That's all I
it's still
got.
good advertising.
You're so living.
And with that, I'm randomly Seymour here.
I'm a dentist.
This was an unusual story and a fascinating plant. Well, while I'm here, I might as well take $50 worth of roses.
$50?
Can you break 100?
No.
Well, then I'll just have to take twice as many, won't I?
Twice as many?
Twice as many.